We're going to look at how to connect your app to Firebase. Now, Firebase provides some really useful services. So the first thing that I will do is I'll go to firebase.com on my browser, and it's going to take me to this initial screen. Up on the top right corner, I will make sure that I am signed in with my school account. So you'll use your school account, and then you'll go to console. Next, you're going to add a project. So click on add a project and give it whatever name that you want. You can call it something new, or you can just call it IBCS app. That's fine as well. Maybe you have your own name for your app as well. Then you click continue. Here you can click continue as well. You'll accept a couple of their rules, and then you're going to wait for your app to be or your project to be created for your app. Now, while we're waiting for this, we're going to open up Android Studio. So go to your app. Don't go to your labs. Go to your app. And I'm going to open up my app. And I'm just here in main activity. So this is where we've been working quite a bit, and you're going to have some buttons here that take you to different services. At some point, you're going to finish this project, and you're going to notice that you're going to get a screen like this one. We're going to need a few things from Firebase to be able to log in and then be able to use their database. So let's start with that. Let's click on authentication, and then I can click on get started. And from get started, it's going to ask me what kind of authentication I want to be able to provide. Let's just start with email and password for now. I click enable, and then sometimes you can do email link for passwordless sign-in. We're going to leave that as not enabled. So we're just going to save this, and we're going to have email and password enabled, which is good. Then I'm going to click here on Cloud Firestore, which is what we're going to use for our database. And we're going to create a new database. So I'll click on create database, and I'm going to go to test mode because we're not in production yet. We're testing things. I'm going to click this US Central is okay. I'll click enable, and then I'll go on from here. Now that I've got my database and my sign-in all okay, then I will connect my app to this project. So you go to Android, you click at the top where it says tools, and then you go to Firebase. You can notice here that this is done. We're good to go here, and we'll go back to Android Studio, and we'll click on Firestore. I'm going to click the drop down for Firestore, and then I'll click on this link that says read and write documents with Cloud Firestore. I'm going to connect to Firebase. It's going to take me to my default browser, which is hopefully the same one that you logged in and created your Firestore with. If not, you're going to have to try to do that, log into that one. And then I'm going to click on the app that I just created, which is called IBCS app. As soon as I click on that, it's going to try to connect them. So it's going to connect my application with this app. And I'm going to click connect. I'm going to click send. And then it says your project is connected to your Firebase Android app. So if I go over here, it says that we're connected. We're good to go. And then I'll click on add Cloud Firestore to my app. I'll say accept changes. It's going to download some files. As you'll see down here, it's going to add the library for Firebase and Firestore, and then we'll be good to go. After we're done with this part, then you'll be able to move on, and you can create the login, and you can start using the database to store information. Now let's go over a little bit of what your database will end up looking like. And I'm going to look at a different database for our project here. and it'll be important to sort of get an understanding of what exactly a database does for you. So I'm going to go to Carpool Buddy. I will go to this Cloud Firestore, and you'll notice that there are some things in the database already. So Firestore works just like computers work in a sense. You have a collection, which is pretty much a folder of stuff, and then inside that collection you can add documents, and you can have more collections within collections as well. So here you'll notice that users is a collection, and there are different users in the collection. Each one of these users is called a document. Now, a document has information. That information can be an array, just like this one. So this is an array of strings. And then that document is kind of like a hash map where we have a key and a value. So we have email is the key, and then this email is the value. UID is a key, and this string is the value. User type is the key. And then you'll notice over here that here's the type for each one of these. Now, for each one of our users, we have this information. We have the same information for each one of those users, and then we also have a vehicles collection, and the vehicles collection has vehicles IDs as the title of the document, and then it has another key value store or pair or set of pairs that gives you the information about each one of those vehicles. Now, this certainly helps in that we're able to store a bunch of vehicles here, and then we can eventually ask Firebase, hey, can you give me all the vehicles? And it'll give you all the vehicles. And here we have a bunch of users, and then every time that we create a new user, we want to store their information, and mainly we want to store the user type. So maybe they're an alumni, maybe they're a student, but we also want UIDs and what vehicles they have. So over here on authentication is a bit different. Authentication is going to show you the people that have signed up for this app. As you see right here, there's a couple of people. So this is different from these users. On authentication, the user will get saved under the authentication users, but we'll also want to keep information for that user so that we can keep track of them and be, maybe have some statistics about them. So you'll want to both save them under the database, and then authentication will save them automatically under authentication. And then as we move on, we'll eventually notice that my dependencies are okay here, and we'll be able to double check and make sure that my authentication is also correct. So I want to go to email and password authentication, and I want to add those two here. I'll click on accept changes, and then I will be set to go. So we don't really need anything else other than those two, authentication and Firestore. If you will be using images, or you want to do a creative with images, you'll probably want to store those in some storage, because storage is for larger files. So this database doesn't store larger files like images or videos. This only stores strings and numbers, just like our CIS server did.